All right, this video is called Mind Blown. Our youth knows nothing. Let's go.
What country is the Queen of England from? Originally.
I definitely don't know.
No, give me your best guess. Guess a country.
What is a country again?
Give me a guess.
This is embarrassing. What is a country? What is a country? What is a country? Canada.
Yes. Do you know what time this is?
She's right.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. 2:45.
Yes. Do you know what country the Great Wall of China is in?
Country?
Yeah. If you had to guess.
Japanese?
Yes. Do you know what the third month of each year is?
Ain't that leap year or some shit?
Yeah. Do you know what 15% of 100 is?
Fuck.
Around what it is, if you had to guess.
Probably like 75. I don't know.
Yes. Do you know what country we gained our independence from?
Spain.
Yes. How many inches are in 2 feet?
I don't know.
Around how many inches? If you had to guess.
5.
Yes. Do you know what country the Panama Canal is in?
No.
If you had to guess, like what do you think it sounds like it's in? Guess a country.
Europe.
Yes. Can you name all the months?
September, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August.
Yes. Do you know what country the Panama Canal is in?
Panama. Spain.
Yes. What do we call a shape with 5 sides?
Is it an octagon? Wait, that's 6. That's 8. Octagon is 8. Is it a stop sign?
Yes. Do you know what year the U.S. was founded?
Oh, no. I'm not even going to answer that.
Around when? If you had to guess a year.
I do not know.
Give me your best guess.
All right. This seems like a really peculiar move here, but I'm going to defend these people. Listen, if you're not in the sphere of like geography, map games, and countries like we are, obviously this is going to come across horrendously stupid, all right? But the truth is, these people probably can have better conversations than we have. That's right, I'm actually going to insult my community right now. These guys can actually have an actual proper conversation talking about pop culture, fashion. This is probably the topics they probably know the most about. I mean, at the end of the day, your brain's got a certain capacity of things you're most interested in. And the truth behind it is they're not interested in countries or histories or maps, so they don't know how to answer these questions. I know, a lot of them have the answer within the question. I know that part, but that's obvious to us because we're map bios. And the honest truth is probably the vast majority of you guys in the chat probably can't have a conversation about fashion or music or celebrities, probably because that's not something you're really interested in. Now, the truth is, if we start asking them questions about their favorite singers and whatnot, like, bam, knock it out the park. When you're young, you kind of have a very narrow idea of what kind of stuff you're really into, you know? It just feels a bit arrogant sometimes, like, we expect people to know the answer to these questions because we know them. And it adds like a bit of a chip on our shoulder at the end of the day. We like think to ourselves that we're superior because we know the answer to these questions. When in lateral fact, they probably could destroy us on any other topic, you know? Because let's be real, this guy, Flecker Talks, he isn't going to upload the bits where they got the question right, is he? When people get the answer right, he's not going to keep that in the video, obviously. He's only going to do a montage of people failing.
If you were born 10 years ago, then you would be 10.
No.
What do you mean, no?
Because I'm 20.
Yeah, okay. What year is it?
What?
What year is it?
21.
Okay, so... Born in 2012.
Just be aware, guys, when you see these kind of on-the-street interview-style videos, be aware they will cherry-pick the answers to push the narrative of the video. But this is quite a typical circle jerk, this. It's been going on for, like, generations. The idea that our generation is the best generation, and every generation after it is stupid or dumb on some way, shape, and form, is in decline. This dates back as, is Aristotle in ancient Greece? He did a play talking about how kids these days talked over him, were rude, were arrogant. This dates back 5,000 years. How old was Aristotle? Was it 5,000? No, it's too much. That's like 3,000. Is it 3,000? Hey, if it makes you feel good about yourself that you big brain, I'm smart, I'm big brain, just fucking eat this shit up, I guess. But all the comments are pretty much that, aren't they? They're like, oh, I'm so smart because these people are so dumb. Oh, bruh, what the fuck, bruh? Okay. Should we learn about Dunning-Kruger? Oh, this is so good. I think this graph illustrates it quite well. So let's say the topic is history, all right? This is the topic of history, all right? So at the bottom graph, we say knows nothing, competence, and guru, all right? So that's the level of knowledge you have on this specific topic. I think learning Dunning-Kruger is really important because I feel like you start to understand how people who are like in academia, they're like the people who are the most educated on a set topic, might be very doubtful of answering questions very directly. Like, oh, this is the perfect example. What is a woman? Oh, man. So someone in academia would answer that question very complexly. But someone who knows nothing would go, penis, vagina. But someone in academia would give a very broad answer. And this is a good example of Dunning-Kruger. The idea is when you know very little about the topic, you're very overconfident you can give an answer. However, someone who is very educated on this topic understands that this topic is so much more vast than a simple answer like penis, vagina. So the topic in this case would be history. That's the topic. So we start to learn a little bit about history. We learn about like 1066 and the Battle of Hastings. And we're like, oh, that's what it was like in the Middle Ages. Then we learn a little bit about World War I and the trenches and like the poppies. And like, oh my God, wow, this topic so brings it alive. And you should feel so overconfident. This topic's like, who was the Red Baron? You know, all these kind of pop culture stuff that's kind of just touching the surface. But then you go on Wikipedia and then you start to see, let's say around the Battle of Hastings, 1066, you start to see the vastness of the topic of history. Now, these are all battles ranging from 300 AD to 1300 AD. Mentions the countries and the combatants. And guys, history is an unbelievably vast topic, all right? And when you start to realize how much information is needed to fully grasp history, particularly of even a region like Europe, you start to realize to yourself, wow, I actually don't actually know that much about that. It's good for another date here. We've got 1301 to 1600. Boom. All these battles. Oh, good times, right? Learn about all these battles. You know all these battles? Have you mastered history? Have you completed it? I don't think you can have. And that's where we reached a certain point, the plat of sustainability, I guess, where you reach a certain point where you become more competent, but then you start to realize yourself, start to doubt yourself that the amount of information that is to master this specific topic is so unbelievably vast that unfortunately your mere little human brain could not grasp the amount of history it is required to master history or complete history. And that is the Dunning-Kruger effect. Shall we watch a video on it now, just so we get the second people's account? You guys saying? Right, video time.
On April 19th, 1995, MacArthur Wheeler robbed a bank with his face glazed with lemon juice, believing the juice would make his face invisible to the surveillance cameras. He thought so because lemon juice works as invisible ink on a piece of paper. Police broadcasted the security camera footage on the local 11 o'clock news, and just after midnight, Arthur was arrested. Incredulously, he said, "But I wore the juice!" Baffled by this reasoning, David Dunning and Justin Kruger, two psychologists, studied Mr. Wheeler and others like him. They came to the conclusion that people with low ability at a task tend to, paradoxically, overestimate themselves. This cognitive bias is known as the Dunning-Kruger effect.
I feel like I know examples of family members, and not to say that they're not very bright, but they do know very, very little about a said topic. I remember a family member saying, if I could put the time in, I could learn guitar, and they could have to see me play it. And I thought to myself after that, it's like, that was Dunning-Kruger. I guess when you've never picked up a guitar or played an instrument or had any background in music whatsoever, you probably see it from a distance and be like, that's easy. I could do that. And that's a prime example of Dunning-Kruger.
Let's look at this graphically, plotting one's confidence in your ability against one's actual knowledge in a field. As we learn something new, we are often highly confident because we know so little that as soon as we know a tiny bit, we think we know it all. Those who stop learning here maintain a false sense of mastery. Those who continue learning realize things are more complex and often lose motivation. And the more they increase their knowledge, the lower their confidence becomes. Many stop at this stage, thinking they've learned nothing. Only if we keep going can we regain confidence while getting better. And at the end, we will be full of knowledge and almost as confident in our ability as right after we started.
Knowledge.
In other words, if a simpleton, a good student, and a wise teacher were to have a public debate, this is how things could go down. The simpleton knows just a little bit, but is very confident and voices his opinions loud and without hesitations. The student knows more, but doesn't realize it because she lacks confidence.
Ah, she's in the middle.
Keeps quiet. The teacher is confident, but understands how complex things.
Oh my God, this is exactly how I described it. So, overconfident person that knows next to nothing. Then there's someone who's in the middle that knows a little about the topic, but is shy and reserved about it because they understand the vastness of the knowledge of that set topic. And then we have the academic, the person who does know a lot about that certain topic, but he understands that it's going to be difficult to describe and explain something with a very limited amount of words and time. Oh my God, this is a prime example. And the sad part is this guy on the left will be loud, overconfident, and boisterous, where the people in the center will be silent, and he will be able to chip in, but he won't probably have the way of explaining it in a short form manner for him to understand on the left.
Hence voices his opinions with reservations. In the end, the simpleton wins the popular vote because he is so confident about being right, and people tend to trust certainty. Research from North America, Europe, and Japan suggests that culture plays a big role. From assessments of one's own ability to drive, we know that 93% of Americans think they are better drivers than average, while only 69% of Swedish think so. In Japan, on the other hand, people in general tend to underestimate their abilities as a strategy to see their underachievement as an opportunity to improve. Setting out on a journey.
Hang on, sorry, I blanked that out a little bit. So people in the United States are more likely to fall prey to it, but people in Sweden or Japan aren't.
Setting out on a journey of learning can be a daunting experience. What starts off as a leisurely stroll soon changes into an intense battle of willpower between you and an intimidating amount of knowledge. Do not give up. The longer you fight, the more power you gain, up until the point you win. And in the end, if you persevere, you may be elevated to the ranks of Socrates, who over 2,000 years ago left us with a quote of wisdom. I know that I am intelligent because I know that I know nothing.
Oh man, what a good quote. What a good quote. I think Tommy did this once on stream. He said something like, I think he was actually quoting Socrates. Was it Aristotle or Socrates? I'm stupid. It's Socrates, sorry. I don't know why I keep losing that name. Yeah, Tommy said this on stream. Maybe he was quoting Socrates, saying that I am dumb and I understand this topic. I don't understand much about this topic, so therefore I'm intelligent. And he said it in a kind of like a really ghetto way, but I think he was quoting Socrates. Anyway there, guys, that's food for thought. And don't forget to like and subscribe. This video here is the one you should go for next. This one, yeah. This one.